If you ask mechanics which Harley engines they trust, the list gets short fast. And it's not because riders are hard on them. It's because some of these engines were sold with problems the factory knew about, and owners paid the price with repair bills that never should have existed. So here's how they rank. From 5 worst to 8 best Harley engines ever made, based on what breaks, when it breaks, and how much it costs when it does. First on the worst list, the twin-cam 88. Owners call this a time bomb, and the numbers back it up. You're looking at $3,000 to $8,000 in mandatory preventive work just to avoid getting stranded, and that's if you catch it early. Harley pushed for more power with this engine, but kept weak plastic cam chain tensioner shoes that couldn't handle the heat and vibration. Those tensioners wear rapidly, shed debris into the oil system, and can collapse suddenly. Once that happens, you're dealing with chain slap and contaminated oil that scores everything it touches. The oil pump struggles because early models used plastic gears that strip under load. The debris damages the pump, starves the engine of lubrication, and accelerates bearing wear. Crankshaft runout gets severe, especially after 2003 when Harley switched to weaker bearings. Inner cam bearings fail hard, destroying cams and sending metal through the engine. Oil leaks from rocker boxes become standard because heat cycling destroys the gaskets. Tensioner failures show up as early as 15,000 to 20,000 miles if you ride hard or live somewhere hot. Oil pump damage follows by 25,000 to 40,000 miles if you don't address it first. Catastrophic failures like spun bearings or seized engines have been reported as low as 20,000 miles when maintenance gets ignored. The fix list is long. You need hydraulic tensioner conversions, upgraded oil pumps, crankshaft corrections, cam bearing replacements, and better breathing systems. A lot of owners skip all that and go straight to gear-driven cams to eliminate the tensioners completely. This engine demands expensive preventive surgery, or you're gambling on a total rebuild that Harley left early owners to pay for themselves. Second worst, Shovelhead. This engine earned its nickname Shovelhead Drip for good reason, and if you owned one during the AMF years, you know exactly why it's on this list. Introduced during emissions regulations and fuel crises, while Harley was bleeding money under AMF ownership, the Shovelhead featured aluminum heads with only 10 cooling fins per cylinder and loose tolerances that let oil go wherever it wanted. Quality control dropped hard through the 70s. Oil leaks weren't occasional, they were guaranteed from the rocker boxes, head gaskets, and valve covers. Everything wept or poured depending on temperature. Riders burning a quart of oil every 250 to 500 miles wasn't unusual. It was expected. Smoky exhaust and fouled plugs came with ownership. Overheating in traffic or hot weather caused detonation that blew head gaskets and warped components. The electronic ignition added in '79 was prone to moisture and heat damage, which left riders stuck on the side of the road. Poor top-end oiling led to valve guide wear and burnt valves. Leaks often started within the first few thousand miles. Overheating was worse during the fuel crisis when low-octane gas was all you could find. Top-end wear got serious after 30,000 to 40,000 miles, and major rebuilds were common by 60,000. Rebuilds typically ran $2,000 to $4,000, depending on how much you upgraded while you were in there. The fix list reads like building something new. You need modern gaskets, upgraded head bolts, high-volume oil pumps, aftermarket ignition, oil coolers, and hardened valve seats. Regular valve adjustments and bolt checks became mandatory just to keep it together. High maintenance wasn't from neglect, it was how the engine was designed. The AMF era made it worse, and owners still call this the dark days of Harley. Third on the worst list, Ironhead Sportster. Cast iron cylinders and heads turned this engine into a heat trap, and solid engine mounts transferred every bit of vibration straight through the frame. Owners describe riding one in traffic as cooking your legs while the bike shakes loose every bolt it can find. Overheating during sustained riding or stop-and-go traffic led to seized pistons and warped heads. The electrical system was a constant problem with points ignition that failed in wet weather and weak starters that left you kicking or pushing. Cold starts were miserable thanks to carburetor and ignition quirks that required you to know the exact technique just to get it running. Oil leaked from the primary and rocker boxes because the crankcase couldn't keep pressure under control. Burning through oil wasn't a problem, it was expected. The vibration was bad enough to crack mounts and work bolts loose. If you didn't check them regularly, you'd find parts missing after a ride. The clutch wore out faster than it should. The transmission never shifted smoothly, and the starter picked the worst times to quit. Heat and vibration issues showed up from the first few miles and never stopped. Electrical problems got worse with age and weather. Major rebuilds were often needed by 40,000 to 50,000 miles, with top ends requiring attention every 25,000 to 40,000 if you rode it hard. Late 70s through mid-80s, AMF models were the worst for quality. Fixes included modern electronic ignition, complete electrical rebuilds, oil coolers, better cooling, vibration dampening, and constant valve tuning. Between parts and labor, keeping one sorted could easily run $1,500 to $3,000 before you even got to the engine internals. If you like working on bikes, they're great. If you don't, avoid them. Simple and tough when sorted, but demanding constant wrenching to stay reliable. Next is the Revolution X. This wasn't a bad engine so much as it was the wrong engine wearing the wrong badge. Harley built a cost-driven liquid-cooled 60-degree V-twin in India and Brazil to hit emission standards and budget price points, but it felt like a metric bike with a bar and shield slapped on top. Riders complained about excessive heat from day one. The radiator and fan setup trapped heat around the legs in traffic, turning stop-and-go riding into punishment. Power delivery was rough and flat, with the 500 making around 30 foot-pounds of torque that barely moved the bike with any authority. Push it above 6,000 RPM and it felt strained. Fuel pump seal failures led to recalls after bikes started stuttering and stalling. Electrical problems showed up early with sensor faults and wiring issues that required dealer visits. The brakes were weak with long stopping distances. Output shaft failures happened in some cases without warning. Suspension was mismatched, too soft, with poor damping that made the bike feel sloppy over anything but smooth roads. Heat complaints were immediate from new owners. Fuel and electrical issues surfaced within the first few thousand miles, affecting enough bikes to trigger recalls. Owner dissatisfaction started early and never improved. Fixes included heat management with aftermarket guards, suspension upgrades that often cost more than the bike's resale value, fuel pump recall work, and exhaust tuning to improve sound and throttle response. Harley discontinued it quickly and left owners with poor dealer support and terrible resale. It lacked the rumble, the power, and the soul. Many owners felt they'd bought a compromised experiment that the factory gave up on. Last and worst of all, early Milwaukee-Eight. Yes, you heard it right. First-year adopters paid full price to beta test Harley's new 4-valve platform, and the teething problems showed up fast. The oil pump couldn't handle scavenging properly under different riding conditions, especially during long highway runs. Oil sumping became the signature problem, where oil pooled in the crankcase instead of returning to the tank. This caused smoke on startup, power loss, and excessive friction that you could feel. Riders would park after hours of highway cruising, come back the next morning, and get a cloud of smoke that looked like a two-stroke. Fixing it meant an oil pump upgrade that ran $800 to $1,200 if you were out of warranty. Heat radiated from the heads more than previous engines, making already hot bikes even hotter when sitting in traffic. Valve train noise showed up as tappet clatter at idle, louder than what riders expected from a brand new bike. Transmission fluid migrated into the primary, requiring constant monitoring and top-offs. Clutch slave cylinder failures led to a recall after riders experienced sudden clutch loss. Surging and lean running from intake leaks made throttle response inconsistent and frustrating. Cold starts were occasionally rough, even after warm-up. Problems surfaced within the first few thousand miles for most early adopters. Sumping often appeared after highway runs between 5,000 and 15,000 miles. Many issues got fixed under warranty, but some persisted even after multiple dealer visits. Fixes included oil pump upgrades, with the 2020 Plus design finally resolving the sumping issue that should never have made it to production. Software updates addressed fueling. Primary vent kits helped with fluid migration. Adjustable rockers reduced noise. Clutch slave recall was mandatory. Not catastrophic like early twin cam failures, but frustrating and expensive for early adopters who expected a finished product and got something that still needed development. Now onto our best list. First is the Evolution Big Twin. This engine literally saved Harley-Davidson from bankruptcy, and nobody debates that. By the early 80s, Harley was on the edge under AMF ownership, with shovelheads leaking oil and overheating everywhere. The Evo was a complete redesign, with aluminum cylinders and heads for better cooling, tighter tolerances to stop the leaks, and a focus on actually being reliable. It worked. Owners started calling it bulletproof, because it actually was. The aluminum construction handled heat without warping. Oil stayed where it belonged thanks to modern gaskets and seals, and the bottom end was strong enough to handle the stock 80 cubic inch output without stress. Simple hydraulic lifters meant minimal valve adjustments and the whole thing just held up under abuse. Riders routinely pushed these past 100,000 miles, with nothing more than oil changes every 5,000 miles and occasional valve work. Forum posts show examples hitting 200,000 miles on original internals in touring setups. Rebuilds when needed ran $2,000 to $4,000, but most owners never needed them. The engine restored Harley's reputation and proved American V-twins could compete with Japanese reliability. It brought back the rumble and feel that made Harleys what they were supposed to be, while actually starting every morning and not leaving puddles in the garage. The aftermarket loved it because you could bolt on big-bore kits or cams without destroying reliability. It was simple enough for owners to maintain themselves, but forgiving enough that it didn't punish mistakes. By the time production ended in '99, the Evo had transformed Harley from a struggling icon into a profitable company. Owners still call it the benchmark for what an air-cooled V-twin should be. Second on the best list, refined Milwaukee-Eight. Once Harley fixed the 2017 teething problems, this became their most advanced air-cooled engine, and it's not close. 4-valve heads deliver efficient combustion without needing high revs to make power. The torque output is massive, up to 114 foot-pounds in 107 cubic inch models, which means effortless passing and 2-up touring without working the engine hard. Advanced cooling with precision oil jets and optional liquid-cooled heads on select models keeps temps manageable even in traffic or hot climates. Rubber mounting and counterbalancers smooth out vibration at cruise speeds for fatigue-free long rides. Integrated knock sensors and electronic throttle prevent detonation and improve throttle response. Post-2018 models routinely hit 80,000 to 100,000 plus miles with minimal issues thanks to warranty fixes that addressed early problems. Owner reports show examples reaching 150,000 miles in 2026 with original clutches and minimal valve train wear. Rebuilds are rare and run $4,000 to $6,000 when needed. High resale values reflect the confidence riders have in these engines. The Milwaukee-Eight balances traditional Harley feel with modern tech. It powers flagship touring bikes like the Road Glide and Ultra Limited without compromise. Riders call it set it and forget it reliability, with 5,000-mile service intervals that don't require constant attention. The engine proves Harley can build something that competes with modern touring standards while keeping the V-twin character intact. It's smooth enough for all-day interstate rides, but still sounds like a Harley when you crack the throttle. This is what the brand needed to stay relevant, without abandoning what made them different. Coming in at number 3, Evolution Sportster. The most abuse-tolerant engine Harley ever built, where the Ironhead overheated and vibrated itself apart, but the Evo Sportster just kept running. Aluminum barrels and heads handled heat from stop-and-go traffic without seizing. The unit construction simplified everything and reduced failure points. Oil scavenging actually worked, and the dry sump design kept lubrication consistent. Leaks stopped being a given. The aftermarket treated these like blank canvases because you could bore an 883 to 1200 cc without sacrificing stock durability. Riders beat on them in commuter traffic, took them to track days, and generally abused them in ways that would kill other engines. They didn't care. 80,000 to 120,000 miles was standard with routine maintenance. Many went past 150,000 on original internals. Rebuilds when needed ran under $3,000 and were straightforward enough for home mechanics. 883 variants from 2015 to 2021 scored 4.8 out of 5 for reliability in owner reviews. These engines outlived frames and suspension in a lot of cases. Harley discontinued the Evo Sportster in 2022 after 36 years of production, but used examples are still everywhere, in 2026, running strong. This was the engine that made Harley ownership accessible for new riders who couldn't afford constant shop visits. Simple, tough, and endlessly modifiable. Owners describe it as hands down the most reliable air-cooled engine Harley ever made. It proved you didn't need liquid cooling or complex electronics to build something that just worked. Low-fuss ownership that let riders focus on riding instead of wrenching. That's why it lasted nearly 4 decades. Fifth on the best list, Revolution Max 1250. Harley proved they could build a modern high-performance engine without losing their identity, and this is it. Liquid-cooled DOHC 1250cc V-twin making 150 horsepower with variable valve timing that optimizes torque across the rev range. It powers the Pan America Adventure Bike and Sportster S without compromise. The engine is a stress chassis member, which means it contributes to frame rigidity and handling instead of just sitting there making power. Maintenance is simple, with hydraulic valves and belt drive requiring minimal attention. 5,000-mile service intervals keep ownership costs reasonable. By 2026, early examples are showing 50,000-plus miles, with minimal issues beyond occasional sensor glitches that software updates fix. Adventure riders praise durability in off-road abuse, where rocks, mud, and heat would kill other engines. The liquid cooling maintains optimal temps for consistent power delivery in demanding conditions. Compared to European adventure bikes from BMW or Ducati, reliability is comparable, and repair costs run $1,000 to $3,000 when needed, instead of $5,000 plus. This engine broadened Harley's appeal globally without compromising performance. It competes directly with bikes that cost more, and proves American engineering can match European tech when Harley commits to it. The Revolution Max shows what happens when they design from scratch instead of evolving old platforms. Riders who never considered Harley before bought Pan Americas because the engine delivered what adventure riding demands. It's too new for comprehensive 100,000-mile data, but early signs point to this being Harley's most advanced reliable engine yet. Modern performance with Harley character intact. Number 6. The Panhead. Post-World War II, Harley needed to modernize the Knucklehead, and the Panhead delivered exactly what riders needed. Hydraulic lifters replaced solid ones, which meant no more constant valve adjustments. That alone made ownership easier for riders who didn't want a wrench every weekend. Enhanced oil circulation with improved pump design prevented dry starts and extended component life. The recirculating system kept things lubricated properly instead of hoping oil got where it needed to go. 61 to 74 cubic inch displacements offered balanced power for the era's roads and speeds. Cast iron heads with alloy pans provided durability that held up to period riding conditions. Many original Panheads are still running in 2026 after covering 50,000 to 100,000 miles over decades with modern seals and gaskets. That's impressive for an engine designed nearly 80 years ago. Collector and custom bike communities keep them alive because they're mechanically straightforward. Early oil leaks from aluminum head expansion were refined over the production run, and aftermarket support from companies like S&S makes parts availability strong. The Panhead represented a pivotal modernization that made Harley ownership more accessible to average riders instead of dedicated mechanics. It laid groundwork for future big twin development and proved hydraulic lifters were the right direction. Restoration costs vary, but properly sorted examples remain reliable for weekend riding. This engine defined the chopper era and became a cultural icon beyond just motorcycles. It's cherished for historical significance and the leap forward it represented in making Harleys actually usable for regular people who just wanted to ride. 7th on the list, Twin Cam 96 and 103. After the early twin cam disasters, Harley finally got it right with these later versions. Hydraulic cam chain tensioners became standard from 2007 onward, which eliminated the plastic shoe failures that destroyed early 88s. The 96 cubic inch arrived in 2007, and the 103 followed in 2010, with more displacement for better torque in heavy touring bikes. Strong mid-range output around 95 to 102 foot-pounds meant effortless two-up riding and passing without high revs. Improved oiling, reduced consumption and leaks compared to pre-2007 models. The robust bottom end held up under sustained highway loads and moderate modifications. 6-speed transmission provided relaxed highway cruising at lower RPM, EFI, with knock sensors prevented detonation and improved fuel economy, often hitting 45 to 50 plus mpg on the highway. 100,000 to 150,000 miles became common with routine maintenance every 5,000 miles. Many 2012 to 2017. 103 examples hit 80,000 to 120,000 miles on original internals, with owners reporting bulletproof reliability. Police fleet bikes routinely reached 70,000 miles before resale with no major engine work. Minor issues like compensator wear, around 30,000 to 50,000 miles got fixed, with upgraded parts for around $400. Rebuilds when needed ran $3,000 to $6,000, but most bikes never required them. Late twin cams redeemed the platform through targeted fixes. Owners call them the best drivetrain Harley ever put out for stock reliability and that signature rumble without constant maintenance headaches. Last and the best on this list, Knucklehead. This engine started everything modern about Harley big twins, and without it, there might not be a Harley-Davidson today. In the mid-30s, Harley faced bankruptcy during the Great Depression, while Indian Motorcycles was dominating with superior power. The Knucklehead changed that overnight. Harley's first mass-produced overhead valve V-twin doubled horsepower over the flathead from around 20 HP to 37 to 40. Recirculating dry sump lubrication with a two-stage oil pump circulated oil under pressure instead of hoping gravity worked. This allowed higher compression ratios without excessive wear and reduced crankcase heat. The constant mesh 4-speed transmission shifted smoother than rival crash gearboxes. Cast iron construction handled the era's demands, including sustained high-speed runs and heavy loads. Those distinctive knuckle rocker boxes housed large rocker arms for efficient valve operation and better cooling. Many original Knuckleheads still run today nearly 90 years later, with proper care and modern upgrades like better seals. Stock examples commonly achieved 50,000 to 100,000 miles over decades. One documented endurance record in 1937 covered 1,825 miles in 24 hours, averaging 76 mph. Modern riders still tour on them, covering thousands of miles, proving the fundamental design was sound. Early 1936 models had teething problems with oil leaks and valve springs, but Harley fixed them quickly by 38 with better sealing and reinforced components. The Knucklehead established the OHV V-twin blueprint that every big twin since has followed. It's the foundational engine that made Harley cool again and proved American engineering could compete. Status symbol, chopper icon, and the engine that literally saved the company. Harley learned expensive lessons with every failure on this list and showed they could build world-class engines when they committed to it. If you're buying used, knowing which engines to trust and which to avoid saves you thousands in repairs you shouldn't have to make. Share your experience if you own one of these, especially if you're dealing with problems we didn't cover. And if this saved you from buying the wrong bike, send it to someone who needs to see it before they sign. Ride safe and see you in the next video.